Beg your pardon? Meredith, who is this coarse person with the foreign accent?
One night, well, it was about 6 o'clock in the evening, and road traffic accident. You know, they were lifting the car. When we looked, this chap had the exhaust pipe through him. He'd gone underneath the car. We got called to an old lady's place, and we had to revive her, or try to revive her. But the worst thing for me was she looked very much like my mother-in-law, who I was very close to. And it's unusual to say that, hate your mother-in-law. The Fire Brigade Union now are proving that firemen are much more likely to die of these cancers because of what they do.
So, Alan,
Yes.
welcome.
Welcome to
And Richard, we have a couple of firefighters here.
X ones.
X-ones,
Yeah.
yeah, long ago. This has been a long time in the making, actually. I've been looking forward to this one for a while.
Yeah. Keep meaning to do it, but I think other things get in the place of it.
Yeah, yeah. And we start right away before we go to the background and stuff.
Yeah.
Can you immediately tell us, do you save cats? Is that a thing or
Have done.
so it happens?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, that's not real. The cats are so resourceful and they
Save seagulls as well.
Oh, wow.
They've got trapped.
Well, how do they get? They know how to fly. Where do they get trapped?
Trapped in wires and things like that across roofs.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
But the cat thing, cats are so intelligent. And what kind of, is it trees that they get stuck in?
Yeah, basically trees. They will come down, but then people worry because if they've been up there for a day, then they're scared that they would never come down again. So that's why they send you out. Normally, it'd be a day that they're up there.
And the cat might just be waiting for the neighbor's dog to leave or whatever, right?
Could be.
Yeah.
But yeah, if we're asked, we did it.
Yeah. So, what year and where in the world did you become a fireman? It was still called fireman.
Fireman then. Was it firefighters? Fireman, because there was no women in the job then.
Yeah, we can get to that. That's an interesting aspect as well. Where in the world are we? Why and how do you become a...
Well, I was an engineer by trade, moved to Bexhill with a firm from London.
Yeah.
And I did 5 years apprenticeship, which I loved. And then another 6 years on the tools. And I thought, it'd be nice to do something else. And then my son was born. Yeah. And Pam was in the hospital with a firefighter or fireman's wife.
Okay.
So, and we got friendly, and he said to me, you ought to come in the fire brigade.
Yeah.
So what I did, I went part-time in those days. That was in 1974. So I still working on the tools, but at night and at weekends I would turn out they'd alert me with an alerter, and you'd run to the station, because I lived around the corner from the station, and get on the fire engine and go out. So I did that for a year. And then someone said to me, you ought to join full-time, you would do well. And bearing in mind what I'd already said, well, I'd had enough of what I was doing, I went in. But the biggest problem was with it, over a month I lost a week's wages because the money in the fire brigade was absolutely dire.
Yeah.
You know, so
I think still is, you know. It's like great money, but people join more for the lifestyle and the camaraderie thing.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. You know, I don't know now, it's a bit different now to what it used to be, but it was then. And so I joined up on the 1st of April 1977.
Yeah.
And it couldn't be more true, the 1st of April. I suppose there's lots of people, including Dick, who will turn around and say, yeah, that fits.
Yeah.
April 4. So then I went to training school for 13 weeks. And then I was posted to Bohemia Road at Hastings.
Is that much longer now than 13 weeks?
I don't know. I think it's still about the same. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's still.
If it's not long. Do you know, I considered you call it part-time fireman. I considered the volunteer fire brigade once when I was younger and fitter, but I had a completely different reason. I didn't want it. I don't know why, but I didn't think of it as a career. I thought of it as, you know, when they started paying a lot of money for ex-soldiers to go on ships.
Yeah.
Well, my problem was that I didn't have any, because I I didn't do soldiering as a profession either. Like I had the training, but then I left. So I thought volunteer fire brigade would give me that like gap in doing something
Oh, I see,
physical,
yeah.
like in being sort of in a service
Yeah.
and in a physically challenging
Yeah.
environment.
Yeah.
So it would like bridge the gap so I could get one of those high-paying ship jobs. But in the end, I abandoned the whole idea in the end. Luckily, you know.
Well, originally I only went in the part-time because it was extra money. You got paid
Yeah.
whenever you was called out, and you had what they call a retainer. So that they're also called retained firemen. So they were retained with a retainer. And as I say, and then decided, yeah, perhaps it's for me.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. I got posted to Bohemia Road in Hastings and stayed there all my fireman's life. It was a firefighter in the end, but a fireman to start with, until 2002 when I retired.
So when you're fresh and new,
Mm.
back then, two questions. Number one, was there hazing and bullying? And number two, did you deserve it because you were useless?
Well, in those days, it was a case of you gave what you got.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
gave it back as well. So
There's a survival of the fittest.
exactly, and also you worked as a team, so it was a good way of working as a team. Find out about one another. He was on an 18 months probation period to see that you fitted in and it worked all right, which I think was a good thing. Still learning a lot,
Yeah.
because they can't teach you everything in 13 weeks, can they? And you need to learn on the job, really. Job is the important thing because each job you go to is different from the last one.
Do you remember the first one?
No, I can't actually, to tell you the truth. No, I can't.
So nothing dramatic.
No. It's just.
What's the first shocking one that you remember, or slightly more interesting?
I think is when we lost a life in one. Been in about 9 months, I think, and someone died in a fire. Although we weren't the first there. It was something that happened up at the Ridge fire station, that area, because there was different areas. The Ridge was the second station in Hastings.
Ah, yes.
And Bohemia Road was first, so that covered one area and the Ridge covered another. So we go and support them, and turn out and support them. Yeah.
What, just the death was from what, falling debris or just fire inhalation?
No,
smoke?
Died in the house fire.
Okay.
From fumes inhalation and stuff like that.
Okay.
And then had a couple car accidents after that as well that were bad, and that's how it went on. Fortunately, we didn't have too many deaths, and we saved people. That was good.
Yeah, most of the time, obviously, you'll be doing that. Yeah. It sounds like it's a wildly different time as well. Now it feels like all the services have so many robots and lasers and thermal detectors and everything. Back then, it was very much you run in and you bring out what you can find, right? There's no.
You worked as a team. It's very important that you worked as a team.
Yeah.
And especially with everything you did, but also if you were going into a fire, you would have breathing apparatus, and there always be a minimum of 2. You would never go in on your own, and you would be looking after your mate, and vice versa. Very, very important. And that's the same with everything. If you go to road traffic accidents, you work as a team. You keep an eye out for your mate to make sure he's okay, and all your other teammates. So that's what it was about.
Exactly. But you were an engineer before you joined, but still there was no people with you who would have a skill to look at a fire in the 70s or early 80s and say, like, based on my calculations, you shouldn't go into this part and you should go into that part.
Well, they would, because that's the training we had before that anyway.
Okay.
And that's training you'd have continuously, even when you was part-time retained, you're still training in a lower way, but in as much if you was going into a fire, you would be taught how to do it.
Yeah.
It was, and as I say, it was very important. And you've got to remember, in those days, most people that joined were either tradesmen like myself, who worked with tools, or ex-servicemen. That was the main. Now, from what I understand, if you've got a degree, you get better chance, which to me is not what it's about. It's not. It's about common knowledge. It's about knowing how to use tools, knowing how to look at jobs and think, well, we need to do this, need to do that. Whereas, from what I understand now, the type of person they're getting in, and I might be wrong, they're not worried about the practical side of things as they used to be. And I don't understand that. I don't get that.
So you're more likely to get in now if you have a university degree, is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, if you've got a degree, yeah, I think,
It's interesting. Yeah, it doesn't seem like a job where that would be relevant.
no, but it does appear to be. But that's only me as second-hand knowledge. I don't really know that, only what I've been told. So,
Yeah. I do have to ask, what were the physical requirements back in your day? But before you say anything, I have to put this in context. For those who don't know, who are younger or listening, in the 70s, people didn't give a shit about us. Like, there were no rules about what you can do with service members,
No.
soldiers, things
Yeah.
like that. So,
yeah.
you
Well,
could
you
just
had to be 5'8". You had to be able to carry someone. You had to be competent on heights, and you had to have a certain fitness level.
Yeah.
Whereas now, since equal opportunities, and don't get me wrong, if someone's good enough to do it, whether they're female or male, that's fine. But not, now
They
you've
dropped.
got firefighters.
Are you saying they dropped the
Yeah,
requirement?
firefighters, there's no height limit. In fact, because there's no height limit, they've had to, from what I understand, again, it's only what I've been told, they've actually, well, I was told by good authority, that to have a mechanism so that the fire appliance would lower, so these people can reach the shelves in the fire
Yes.
appliance.
Seems like a backwards way to do it if the vehicle already exists.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course, if we're building a new vehicle, if you're putting in an order for new vehicles,
that's
for Volvo or whoever builds these things, then you can order them lower. But I'm saying for an existing vehicle, it seems like you should have people who can reach the.
Well, that's right.
Got
They
the
did-
ladder on there, have to lower the gantry on the ladder.
Yeah, that's right. And also, there was a 35-foot ladder, or a 15-metre ladder, right? That took 4 of you to get off of the machine, lift it to the wherever you were going, and extend it by hand with a rope. It was 3 extensions. They took the top extension off because it was too heavy for the new people that are coming in, because they weren't fit enough to carry it.
Okay.
So, that is true. I know that for a fact, because that's what
It sounds like I'll say it, but because you don't have to say it, I'll say it. It sounds a little bit like there might be, at the end of the day, there's some statistical number of lives that might be lost or endangered because firefighters are shorter and in worse shape than they used to be.
Look at Grenfell.
But Grenfell, we put all the blame on the construction, the cheap cladding, didn't we?
But they didn't have the equipment to go, and they've never had a turntable ladder. They didn't have these ladders. Okay, there were certain places you had to go in below and then work your way up, and that's the way you do it. But because they never had the equipment, I think because of all these cuts, and also because of equal opportunities, as far as I'm concerned, that the whole thing's become inefficient. I live in a house in Bexhill. I've got a flat roof that's lead on a dormer window. The year before last, we had some high winds. That lead moved. The roof moved, literally moved, right?
Okay.
On this dormer window. So I thought, can't have that angle, like it is, because lead coming down. And also I needed it to be watertight. Yeah. So I phoned the fire brigade. They came along and they, put a ladder up to my roof, then put what is a roof ladder. Yeah. And our roof ladder got wheels on it, and it rolls up and you turn it and it hooks over the ridge.
Yeah.
Right? The young lad they had didn't know how to put it together. And then they put him up there, and I tell you what, I was scared he was going to fall. So I said to the governor there, and I said, has he been up on one roof ladder before? He said, he's never been on a roof ladder before. They don't do the training. Oh. And then I had to get outside, because I said, well, I'll go up there then, because obviously he wouldn't let me. Yeah. I had to get in the window and tell him what to do on the roof, because he had no idea. Yeah. But he probably got a degree. I'm only saying that because I'm biased now.
But I think this is an issue with other services too. But I've met like 19-year-old cops on the streets, where I'm thinking like, mate, these like drug dealers out here, they'll kick your ass. You have no chance against these.
Well, they're little people.
Yeah, like little young cops and
don't get me wrong. Yeah, I'm quite happy. If there is somebody who can do the job, who's got the right physique, the right knowledge, don't matter whether they're male or female. But unfortunately, because of equal opportunities, we've got men and women going into it. And seriously, when I look at it, and Dick will back me up on it, how are they going to do the job? I don't know.
I'm happy you guys said it, because I thought that this was something that sort of commonsensically would enter your mind, that this might be an issue, and so it is. But I don't know what that, when I earlier mentioned that there's some statistical number of lives this will cost over a long run. I don't know what that.
How are they going to
prove? Could be zero.
How are they going to prove?
Of course, it could be zero as well.
You've got to remember, we joined a certain standard, and that standard, as far as I'm concerned, was a very good standard.
There are other things that your standards weren't so high back in those days. For example, you were still hired to put asbestos into buildings rather than take it out. So,
well, no, we never did anything like that. We never did. But
no.
Well,
so you're not worried about long term? How many years were you in the fire brigade? Like decades?
I was 27 and a half.
And you're not worried that, well, you've made it already quite far in life, but without any kind of exposure-related illnesses. What about your friends in the brigade?
Well, we lost Bob Alan Keats to cancer, and I really believe that was due to inhalation of things,
all kinds of things.
And the Fire Brigade Union now are proving that firemen are much more likely to die of these cancers because of what they do.
Yeah,
and what they've done.
Yeah,
and things are a lot better now, equipment-wise and stuff like that, from what I understand.
And science-wise, we know so much more about what's dangerous.
Exactly.
Speaking of exposure, I know you have lots of fun stories we want to get to, but I have one more exposure-related question. This was during the Cold War. So firefighters, I don't know, we've all probably seen the HBO show about Chernobyl and how badly those those firemen got it bad. So, but did you have any kind of training for what's going to happen in a chemical or nuclear attack on the country?
Not really.
Nothing?
The only thing we did have on the station was an early warning system at that time. They're not there anymore.
Yeah.
They took them out a few years back, didn't they? And we had an early warning. We had to check it every day, and it would come over and let you know if we were going to be attacked. And that was something left over from, I suppose, the Second World War. I don't know.
How much did you think about it?
Well, I used to think, well, if that goes off, I'm going home for my family. I'm going to make sure they're all right. I always used to think that, but that's about how deep it got. And then eventually they took them out.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure the Chernobyl firemen would have done that too, had they known that that's what's on fire. They didn't know, right?
But that was for a nuclear attack. If that was that we had an early warning system.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing we did have.
Well, we should probably start installing those again, eh?
Well, yeah, it does make you wonder.
All right, I have a question. When you were a young fireman, anything stupid you did or anything you remember? What are the kind of mistakes you make?
Mistakes?
Did you ever get close to dying?
When we and Dick did one time in a house, and that was this 3-story townhouse in Hastings, going like a torch, and we were in breathing apparatus in there, going up the stairs. The governor said, "What we need to do," and we said, "Well, it needs venting. We can't get up the stairs because it was that hot. We were on our bellies." And he said, "Right, okay, I'll make sure." And what it meant was someone would be at the top, smash a window so I vent it, but it had to be at the right time because otherwise you get a flashover. Because the rush of air.
Yeah,
oxygen. And we said, "Right, we're ready. We're not ready yet." Then we did. We're not ready yet. And there we were, moving up. And then all of a sudden it flashed over. The closest thing to being killed, that was, meaning.
Really?
And the fireman that did it, he smashed it before he was told to do so. Bloody idiot. I could have killed him. We could. Anyway, got into the fire, put the fire out, and we came out, we were soaked, we were drenched, full of, perspiration and everything like that. Both of us were soaked. And my partner at the time, that was Dick, we got to the machine and he said, "That's it, I'm going home." "What do you mean you're going home?" "Well, on nights." He said, "I've got short leave, so I'm going home." And he left me. He buggered off. Because I was still, and the governor let him go because he booked short leave. He went home.
Yeah.
He really cared, he did, didn't he?
No, it wasn't. You were clearly alive still, so
Well, yeah, I'll tell you what, we were lucky, weren't we, Dick?
Yeah, well.
We were lucky.
I know how that feels. The if you have leave, you leave your partner in anything.
Yeah.
You know, there was times during my service where going on leave was literally you would go with your vest and your gun and everything into this vehicle, and you'd be traded by the guy who came in, who had changed from his like leave uniform into the work uniform in the Jeep that was bringing him, and then you would do the opposite, and then he would take your vest. And you do the opposite, change into the leave uniform in the back of the Jeep. Like, so I know how you just leave. If you're booked for leave, you can go.
Well,
I know, but that's not
in my defence, I mean, I very rarely book short leave like others, unlike others. We always booked it. And just so happened we had this awful fire.
And he thought, I'm going home. He abandoned me.
This is inspired by, I've rewatched for like the 9th time in my life that series House.
Yeah.
You know, there's that one episode where the fire brigade is trying to bring out the really fat guy out of his, because they think he's died, but he's still alive or whatever.
Yeah.
Do you ever have to carry like a massive human?
I had one in the block of flats in Hastings. What's the name of that was for? Oh, Churchill Cook,
Yeah.
And the chap there, he was 28 stone, and the ambulance asked us to go there to get him out.
What's 28 stone in human number?
That's a lot of kilos.
Gotta check in kilos.
It's hundreds.
Yeah, it's almost 200.
Yeah. Anyway, he was in this flat, and he was in there, and they wanted us to get him out to get to hospital, and that's one of the heaviest things I've ever carried in my life. We got him out, and down to the ambulance, but how we got him through the door, I don't know, because he couldn't move. But we did, and that was something else.
How many people would it take?
There were 6 of us, and we were pushing him through, and doing it as a chain, if you like.
It makes you think, like, what if there's another fire in the city at that moment?
We wouldn't have stood a chance.
We can't be wasting resources on people that are this large.
Well, still got to go for. You can't leave it.
Of course, but like it just makes me think as because you don't have to say this. I'll say it.
Yeah.
I just think getting so big that the rescue services need to dedicate that many resources to get you out is a little unfair. Well, the rest of us.
Fortunately, I mean, it was on about the 6th or 7th floor. It was 12 story, weren't they? Something like that.
Over 12.
No lift.
And there was a lift, fortunately.
Okay. Yeah.
But only one could get in there with him. We couldn't. So we all had to run down the stairs to meet him at the bottom.
Like, speaking, you mentioned Grenfell and stuff, but back in the day, these houses that had fires in them, in the 70s and 80s, I'm guessing, like, building regulations, asbestos is one thing, but all this other stuff, I'm sure there was corruption and building cheaply, like...
Oh, yeah.
Were there any major disasters where, like, people were stuck?
No, not that I can think of, not that I had, but you've got to remember, in those days, you had a proper fire prevention department, whereas when Thatcher came in, what happened was it was self-compliance. So whereas we used to have a fire prevention department upstairs, they would go and tell them what they needed to do, and then they would check it when it's done. But like Grenfell, the fire brigade weren't involved. It was self-compliance on the firms that did it. So that's where the corruption lies.
That always works when firms police themselves.
I mean, we had a big fire prevention department, didn't we? And they would go out and they would give it literally give a license, say, yes, that work is done to the standard we require.
That sounds like something we should have now.
Of course it is. It was taken away because of the corruption that's in government. Money talks.
So is it now like they police themselves? Like that?
Well, you still haven't had the Grenfell report, but they cover that up. I'll tell you, that's why Grenfell went, because of no proper compliance.
Yes, And just for listeners who don't know, Grenfell Tower was a major disaster in London.
70
There'll be documentaries on every channel, Netflix, Amazon, everywhere. Just check out one of those. Terrible thing that. So there was nothing like that in
No. You had, as I say, you had proper fire prevention department.
Yeah.
But because of the corruption, I'm being political now. Because of the corruption in Thatcher's day, as far as I'm concerned, they were able to do the things that they've done.
So they did think properly. I believe it when older people tell me that it was better back in the day. I believe in certain things it was.
Oh.
I think when our economy has shifted more towards financial services, as in the big banks have taken over pretty much everything. Any value we produce in our society is produced in those sectors. Yeah, I think there has been a shift to doing a shitty job in the sense because nothing's made here anymore.
No.
There's not that like pride in your hometown or village where if let's say the cladding for a tower block like that caused the Grenfell Tower, if it was made in a British town, there would be a whole industry around that, and there would probably be an inspection department who will have some kind of pride in inspecting that our town is making good stuff for the tower blocks of London, and that's how we make money. And I think there is something about.
Well, there definitely is, because money talks, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's all that matters. But lives don't matter.
So what was the worst loss of life during your service then?
Well, I think one of the things I do remember is near the end of my career when we got called to an old lady's place and she'd shared a fire, and we pulled her out, Graham Obden, and we had to revive her, or try to revive her. But the worst thing for me was she looked very much like my mother-in-law, who I was very close to. And it's unusual to say that, about your mother-in-law. And she reminded, and I've never forgotten that, it could have been her.
Yeah.
And that really affected me in as much, oh my God, that's why you should care, because that is somebody else's mother-in-law, somebody else's mother.
Yeah. That's exactly.
But I've had decapitation in a vehicle where someone's gone under a lorry and they decapitated their head. Also, a vehicle where the sub-officer on another watch, we didn't realise he got sent to get him out, this crash, and he was trapped in the car. And when we got him, it was the son of a sub-officer on the other watch. So a son of one of our mates. That was affecting as well, very affecting. Something you never forget.
Yeah.
But every life is important.
Yeah.
Because there, for the grace of God, go I. Could be my family, could be me.
Yeah.
So you've got to care.
Well, that's good that's how the rescue services think.
That's how we should
to hear that.
Well, that's how we were taught to think, and it's human nature anyway, isn't it?
Yeah. A city fireman's life is very different than in the villages. I was so jealous, like the village firefighter's life was, there's the fire station and the 4 or 5 fellas who work there, and they keep physically fit. They hang out with their mates all day. Then they go to the pub in the evening. They're the only young, attractive single men in the village, so that must be nice. And then there's one fire per year, where you actually might be in danger.
Yeah.
So that, I think in a city, you're in much more danger all the time, car accidents.
Well, it depends, because, you could be in a city, go to a fire, but you could be the 10th vehicle that gets there. So you might not even get near the fire. They build up on what they need. So it'd probably be 2 fire engines and perhaps a turntable ladder that goes initially. Then what they do is say, make pumps 4, so 2 more fire engines would go, then they make pumps 6 or 10. So you could get there last and you might not even see it.
No.
Yeah.
In the city, whereas in towns like Hastings, Bexhill, Eastbourne, you would be involved in those because you go out to the countryside as well, so you'd be involved more. Not to say that that's putting them down in the city; they still do the same stuff, but you haven't got as much manpower.
Speaking of sort of being one in villages and maybe not in a city, I think this could be an amazing way to see the world. I had this thought that it's not like being a doctor or lawyer where you have to do a 1-year conversion that's really difficult, and you have to study so that you can prove that you can be a doctor in a
No.
different country.
No.
Like for a young person, this could be an amazing way to see the world and learn about
Yeah.
different cultures, is to
Yeah.
get your training in a country that has an accreditation that
Yeah.
everyone accepts.
Yeah.
And then go live abroad and make a living while having a real experience, and like live a couple of years going
Oh, that's right.
fire brigades around the world.
Yeah.
That could be a great way to see the world. Right?
Well, yeah, that's if you can get in. I mean, I must admit, we got the opportunity at one time going to New Zealand because they were doing a year's swap. And unfortunately, I couldn't do it because Pam had a business, so we couldn't leave that. But we got to know the fireman that came over from New Zealand because somebody else swapped with him, and we ended up going and visiting him in New Zealand. So I could have done the same thing,
Yeah.
swap.
But New Zealand, obviously Commonwealth, that's probably like very similar how they do.
Yes, it is. Very similar. Same as Australia.
I'm thinking you could also like just, okay, I've always wanted to, I don't know, visit Brazil.
Yeah.
Then instead of paying for an expensive ticket and living in a hotel, call a local fire brigade and say, can I do 6 months with you? And
they might do. It depends. It depends on their, how they do things.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's I enjoyed my time. I did enjoy my time. I had some real good fun. Made some real good mates.
I know you want to tell a story about how a pole has gone very wrong, but we do have to ask about the actual fireman's pole. Back in your day, was it still like 2 floors and you slid down the pole?
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
But if you were sensible, you run down the stairs because it was safer.
It was much safer. Yeah, I was gonna say now they build them just on one plane.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
and
if they use them.
Yeah,
some don't use them.
They build them often in this sort of open space plan now, where regardless of whether you're in the kitchen or in the gym or wherever, there's the same roughly the same distance to run to your.
Yeah, that's right. That's the whole idea. Yeah.
But back then it was still 2 stories and you slid down the hill.
But it's very rare we were 2 stories because upstairs was basically administration, so we were downstairs. But occasionally the office would be up there doing stuff, so you would use it. But as I say, if you was nearer the stairs, it was easier to run down the stairs.
Yeah. All those unnecessary poles that they don't use anymore. Pole fitness has become more popular, so they can just repurpose all the old fireman's poles for pole dancing. So that's pretty.
Yeah, I never thought of that. Well, actually, we probably did a bit of pole dancing around it while we were there. I can't remember now.
I'm sure it was very graceful.
Yes, it was.
Tell us about a guy who had a pole through him. How did that come about?
We got a call one night. Well, it was about 6 o'clock in the evening, and it was a road traffic accident. When we got there was a load of people around this car lifting it. And there's this person screaming, and we couldn't work out. And run up quick, and our governor looked at it and said, "Stop it now!" They were lifting the car. When we looked, the exhaust. This chap had the exhaust pipe through him. He'd gone underneath the car. If I tell you what happened first, then he was driving a motorbike, and someone came out to a junction, and they stopped quickly, which he didn't expect. So he laid his motorbike down. Yeah, which is the safest thing to do. But he slid right under the car, and the exhaust had gone straight through him, through his side, and out the other side by about 2 or 3 foot, and he was impaled on that. Anyway, the other unfortunate thing was he had a pillion. His girlfriend was on pillion. She was okay, but she ran across the road. Well, it's not funny. She ran across the road to get help into her house, and she fell down the steps and broke her leg.
That's the thing. I will address the exhaust to the body in a second, but I will address it. So when I did some of the first aid training I did, the best people were always the ones who reminded you to. It's if you're the one helping, don't
put yourself. Well, she panicked, obviously. Yeah. Because she'd just been laid down on a motorbike and like that. So
she broke her. See, that's what happened to Fro. I used to, then when I delivered some training at some point, this is years ago, I've forgotten everything, but I always asked, like, if you drive up to an accident, when you stop your car, what's the first thing you should do? And people have all these guesses like call 999 or whatever the number is, or put that triangle in the road. So no, the first thing is check your mirror, so you in your panic you're not opening your door and getting
somebody else
yourself killed. Yeah.
That's the main thing. Protect yourself.
Yeah, because that happens a lot where people there's these secondary injuries from people just running about in panic in an accident.
Well, they do. People do. And with something like that, they would do.
And I think even for me now, I'm so many years removed from being in any kind of emergency that I think even if you've been trained, if you don't maintain it all the time, you've got just become Joe Public.
You just brain.
You just become Joe Public and you start relying on those instincts and panic, because much of your training is to go against instinct and get your body used to doing
That's right.
Run into the fire rather than running.
Yeah, well, you don't. You assess first.
Yeah.
You assess first. Everything. Anyway, we assessed with this chap and we realised what had happened. So I got under the car with him. My mate Bob, unfortunately, he's not with us anymore because I told you Dad had been exposed to certain things which I think helped to kill him with cancer. But anyway, we were really good mates and we used to bounce off of one another. Anyway, we got under the car and the chap was still conscious, but we couldn't do anything because they decided we needed a surgeon there to give him morphine and to decide what they wanted to do because it exhausted straight through him.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got under the car and Bob was at the back with him, near the other end of him. And we were trying to joke with him. I always remember it. Bob turned around and said, "Do you know what, mate? They're going to knight you after this when you're out of here." He said, "They're going to call you Sir Speedy." So I, on the same vein, turned round to him and said, "Yes, mate, but you must be exhausted." And it settled him down. Anyway, the surgeon came, as I say, gave him morphine, and then they decided where we needed to cut the exhaust, which was close to the middle of the car. And so we did that. So when he came out from underneath, he had it all sticking out both sides.
Yeah.
And they just managed to get him into the ambulance by turning him on his side. Then the surgeon said to us, "I think I'm going to need you in the operating theatre because when I cut him open, I want to pull the exhaust out and I want you to be there with your equipment in case we need it." So we were sent down to the hospital as well. When we got to the hospital, they said, "No, there's a message. The fin of the exhaust is still in him. There's a fin on the top."
Oh, Christ.
And he said, so he's going to have to do it. He can't pull it out. He's going to have to do it in a different way, cut around it.
Oh,
anyway,
God.
They asked that we would stay and take the exhaust away, which we did.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, you're not sterile in all your equipment.
No, we would have been, though. They'd have given us gowns.
Yeah, they gave you gowns.
Anyway, we took the exhaust back, had it in the station. Next thing we know, we get a call the next day, I think it was, from his parents to say that they wanted the exhaust pipe. Could we keep it? Because they were going to have it.
Scrap metal.
No, they were going to have it chromed and mounted.
Yeah.
And then me and Bob got letters from the parents to say, "Thank you very much. You saved our son's life, blah, blah, blah." Lovely letter, which I still got home.
Wow. And did he live a long, normal life? Or?
Yeah, it came out. Yeah. Because he missed every vital organ. And the fortunate thing was, because the exhaust was new, it was a brand new exhaust, it cauterized the wound. It was hot, it cauterized the wound.
So he didn't bleed?
No bleeding. Which we couldn't understand at the time, and now obviously afterwards we realised.
By the way, that is very, very hot, that exhaust.
Yes, it would be.
Yeah.
So it saved his life really. And then they come, as I say, and got the exhaust.
So luckily that car in front of him had been driving for a while. Is what I'm saying. This could have gone so much worse if that car had just pulled out.
Yeah, that's right.
And not heated.
Oh yeah, he'd been driving for a good half an hour, I suppose.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was a very strange one to be doing. It really was.
Wow.
That shows you the humour you've got to have when you're doing stuff like that.
Yeah. And the person was talking to you the whole time.
It was sort of. Yeah, he was.
But it was.
And then when he had the morphine and stuff like that, he just died.
Of course, doze off. I think you maybe, because the person at that point is in such shock that maybe don't give them morphine. Nowadays, I think they try to keep them awake, right?
Yeah, but he had to because of getting him out of there. it would have been, the pain would have been something else, I think,
Yeah.
getting him out of there. So,
Oh, why?
yeah.
That's a shocking thing. Any other crazy things like that?
Well, he had another chap who decided to kill himself on the seafront and dive from the top and impaled himself on the railings there on the bottom.
What railings are there? This is
Well,
Hastings, yeah?
Yeah, Hastings, the railings to stop, because there was a basement, so it stopped people falling down. You know, the railings.
Oh, those things. Yeah.
Yeah. And he impaled himself on that. That wasn't pretty.
Oh, Christ.
Full
And
bugger.
it's gonna take like half an hour for you guys to show up. So how many people?
No, well, not
Yeah.
half an hour. No, a few minutes.
Okay. Yeah.
You were given specific times you had to be there in.
All right. So not too many people walk
No.
past this.
I think it's changed now.
Yeah.
Don't think it's what it was.
What does that look like then if someone falls from the top of a building?
Not pretty. Not pretty. He smashed about.
Just guts
But
everywhere.
he was impaled. Yeah, he was impaled on top.
Yeah.
He died, obviously.
Yeah, well, shocking. Yeah, he wasn't. He was not resurrected from that.
No.
But the shocking stuff. Do you think PTSD is big in the fire brigade?
Is what? Sorry.
PTSD, like post-traumatic
Oh yeah.
shell shock. Is
Yeah. We had, definitely, yeah. Tony Baldurst, wasn't he? Do you remember? He was found him crying in a drawing room, and he.
You know what tension is paid to this? This is. I was talking to a lawyer like 30 episodes ago, and they have to go see all these crime scenes too for the legal cases and stuff, and nobody ever talks about them or firemen when it comes to seeing like.
But see, you deal with it as a team. The watch is a team. We work together, live together. We'd be on nights for 15 hours, and we worked, so we'd all support one another in that way. And you'd laugh about it.
Yeah.
I mean, we had an incident. Was you on the watch then when we got a call from the social services, and they'd gone to a house in Ollington, in Hastings, and when she opened the letterbox, she couldn't raise the lady. All she could see was loads of flies. So she called the police and fire brigade to get in. And we went. And when we went in, a lady had died. She'd been dead about 3 weeks, they found out. And the dog had been feeding off of her stomach. So her dog survived. Yeah. So flies had got in. So there's flies everywhere. And, there was maggots and everything like that. Yeah. Anyway.
A cat wouldn't have waited 3 weeks either.
No,
would
that's
have
right.
started instantly just to see what it tastes like.
And she was distressed by it, poor woman. Anyway, we went back to the station, and our governor got a call, and it's the social worker. She said, he wants to know, called out to us, he wants to know, or she wants to know whether you need counselling. And we went, what? Because we had to pick the lady up and we had to get her out. It literally had to shovel her up, So
that's the gas.
So he turned around with his wit, as he did have. He turned around and he said, "Well, they don't know yet. They haven't finished their spaghetti bolognese." So she said, "Oh, they're having dinner. They're eating." He said, "Yeah, they've got to eat something." She said, "Oh my God, they must be all right."
That's the worst kind of meal after picking up a body that must have looked like bolognese as well.
That illustrates how we worked. We worked on comedy and support.
But they say that that's what masks it all. See, I know that that's what helps in the immediate, but then you did have fellas who didn't do so hot.
Possibly. Possibly. Oh yeah, Tony Baldurst was one. It does it. Yeah, of course it does. And I think, like I told you about the old lady. Yeah. And I still can do that. And one of the things that stuck out in my mind more than anything was going out at 3 o'clock in the morning to a shout and seeing the police turn over a young lad on the seafront, searching him. And do you know what came through my mind? It was Nick, my son.
Yeah.
That could be my son. Isn't it funny?
Yeah. So any sort of horrific drownings, and because Hastings is a seaside town. So
no, we never get involved in.
That was the cops and the ambulances, right?
It'd be the lifeguards and people like that.
Yeah. But beached whales and dolphins, that would be you.
Yeah, I went to one beach whale. That was in Bexhill, actually.
Is this true where they start filling with gas and
Yeah, but they do. But I mean, we only went. I don't know why we went to it actually, and we came away because there's nothing we could do.
No, so you just let nature take its
Yeah.
course. There's nothing.
Yeah. But
That was my mother-in-law.
she's been mother-in-law.
No, they always show off when I go to the beach too, and they
Yeah,
say
yeah.
nothing we can do about this one. Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Any other exotic animals?
A snake. That was forget where that was. We went in, and the snake was out on the sofa.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the house was fortunately the snake was dead. Well, I say fortunately, poor snake. I didn't mean it that way, but he died for this. But it was this big snake. He had aquarium full of all sorts of stuff. But I mean, some of the funny things you go to at times. Some nasty things. I mean, like a young lad he's stolen a car and put it into Judge's Corner. That's a place, a factory.
Yeah.
And when we got there, he's effing and blinding at us and telling us, what load of shit, get me out of this car. Yeah. All right, he was traumatised. But fortunately, one of the blokes used to do a bit of karate, so just give him a little nudge. That stopped him. He shut up after that.
Yeah.
But those days, you can't, you would,
They do say, I've heard from a doctor who did some emergency stuff as well, that sometimes what they would do is just to shut someone up and make the work easier. They would knock them out.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah. No, that's right.
Knocking them out medically is maybe.
I don't think he didn't knock him out as such. He didn't hit him hard. He just gave him a reminder. Hold on, we're trying to do this, and that's what we were saying to him, and it shut him up. So, and he needed it because it could be he was traumatized as well. Yeah. So
it's quite common. They say in emergencies that there will always be one or two people who don't want to be saved, who would make it very difficult.
Probably.
Is that common? It's like some kind of psychological phenomenon.
No, I've never noticed that. Everybody I've been to wanted to get out or get, were happy that they were saved,
They say that in sinking ships or burning buildings or something, there is something that happens to the mind of certain people where they want to quit.
Yeah.
Even if, can't you see the light? There's a real chance for us to get out. Come on.
Great possibility. But I've never experienced that, I must admit.
Okay, that's good.
So, it's... and it was a nice feeling when you'd help someone, because there, for the grace of God, go I, as I said before. Yeah. The fact that you've saved their house or saved somebody's life does help. The main thing is we saved their property, because that's the main thing we did. It wasn't life all the time, it was property.
Yeah.
So,
so people can call the fire brigade just for their property to help.
Oh, yeah. I mean, only an emergency. So, for like I said, I had the wind blow the stuff off the roof or something like that. Yeah.
So as long as there is a natural cause, like there are high winds on the south coast of Britain all the time.
Yeah.
Your lead roofing and stuff, you said.
Yeah.
I never even think about if something goes wrong in the house. I always think, how much is that going to cost? But actually, if it's caused by a natural disaster, and it might be, if it's something that could, in theory, be dangerous.
Yeah.
Then I could try to call the fire brigade.
Oh, you could.
Say,
well, they would. They'd come if you've got a dangerous situation.
Yeah.
A lot of lockouts as well.
Yeah, lockouts, people locked out,
Yeah, if a lockout, if you have like a baby or something, then instead of calling an expensive locksmith, you could call the fire brigade.
Well, but if it's especially in the middle of the night or something like that, where people can't get in, and especially vulnerable people as well.
Exactly, yeah.
What we used to do with people locked out, especially women, they used to lock themselves out a lot. We used to tell them, have you left your cooker on? No. Have you left your cooker on? Yes. And, then you was authorised to go and do it.
Here's a good one I forgot to ask. Do fire stations really have mascots? Was there a fire station dog or cat or parrot or something?
Well, no. Yeah, we had a mascot.
Sorry, Lawrence.
Yeah, it was Lawrence, special needs lad.
Okay, and so there was a mascot.
Yeah, well, I always remember him coming to the station when our watch was on duty on nights, looking in, and then we went like that, looking in, and we opened the door to him, main doors, and he said, I love fire engines, and as I say, he was a special needs lad. Anyway, he came in, and cut a very long story short, he used to come to every watch, nearly every day. He'd help wash the fire engines. He'd know more about the fire appliances than we did. He loved it.
This is a movie in the making.
Yeah.
Right? In the end, Lawrence saves the day, right?
Oh, Lawrence, yeah.
He remember if you want to shout when you were eating, you used to hide the.
Yeah, if we used to give him meals as well, and if we had a shout, it meant we'd have to leave our food. It was in the middle of our dinner or tea or something.
Yeah.
We'd have to hide it because he'd eat it.
He did it a couple of times.
Yeah.
Lawrence had an ulterior motive
Well,
here.
I always remember we had Christmas Day we were on, and we asked him to come for Christmas dinner. His parents let him come, and he came for Christmas dinner. We had a shout right in the middle of it, a chimney fire. When we got back, he'd eaten the whole Christmas cake apart from a tiny little wedge.
I like
And that was Lawrence.
Yeah.
And they taught him to call me gammon ears because without you seeing, I've got big ears apparently, so they say.
Yeah.
And it's gammon ears.
They're distinguished ears.
Yes. And he used to shout it from one end of the road to the other if he saw me. And what did he used to call you, Dick?
Captain Shrapnel.
Captain Shrapnel, because he was in the army. We taught him that his name was Captain Shrapnel.
Captain Shrapnel. You know this like gear you have when you go on a call. You're not always gonna have the right thing, because I'm thinking there are about, like, let's say 50 things that are in your fire engine.
Yeah.
And there are about 50 million ways things can go wrong in life, and you won't have the right thing. So did you have to like MacGyver things together with tape and?
Well, yeah, but that's where I go back to. It's really important that you're practical, a tradesman of that sort, a builder, whatever, because you would adapt.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're not used to tools, and we did have a few that were like that, but they would be guided by the ones that were used to tools, and that's fair enough, and that's why. And there again, I'm only surmising because of what we got now, the system we got now, and I still don't know it properly, but it doesn't sound practical enough to me, knowing what I've done and been to.
Yeah.
You know, you needed that sort of
someone to know how to figure it out on the spot with lacking equipment.
Yeah, with what you've got.
Soldiers are good at that, I suppose. I mean, Richard here's before you went in the fire brigade, you were in the service.
That's right.
And we've talked about that in another episode. So that would be the kind of person who would know how to make do and
and that's what you've got to do.
Yeah,
that's what you've got to do, and that's how you do it.
Does the equipment ever fail, like in a awkwardly, like people are stuck on the top of that, that basket at the top?
Oh yeah, there. No, I don't remember anybody
with someone
failing.
No,
I do. Do remember putting people up there that didn't like going up there.
So no one ever fell off the top of that ladder then?
Well, I hope not. You're trained. You're chained on anyway. You've got
meant to be tethered on.
Yeah, well, you're not allowed to go up unless you are tethered on.
Yeah. But this sounds like things that in the 70s people didn't care.
That reminds me
life the same way.
That reminds me of me and Bob going to we were on the turntable ladder that night. That's a lifesaver. That's the ladder with the basket on.
Yeah.
It's called turntable ladder then.
Yeah. Because you can host a sick DJ party from up there. Yeah, that's why.
And the whole idea of a turntable ladder is to save life on high-rise buildings or things like that. Okay, and they're normally kept in the town area. It's very rare they move outside the town because of, wouldn't want them on cottages and stuff like that outside.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got a call one night, and it was the turntable ladder, which made on its own, which is very unusual, which made all the others laughed at because they didn't have to go out. And we were turned out to a pub called the Kicking Donkey out in the middle of the country, the other side of Batman. Yeah. Anyway, he was driving and I was number one. So number one was the person technically in charge, and the other one, number two, was the driver.
Yeah.
The driver would be the one who operated the ladder as well, and the number one would be the one who went in the cage to go to the top of the bit. Anyway, we were turned out to this Kicking Donkey pub, which is only 2 stories. And it turned out they've got somebody who had a heart attack in there, and they couldn't get her down the stairs. It was the part-time fireman out in the country. Yeah. And they needed to get her out the window because she was quite heavy as well.
Okay.
Very large.
It's always fat people. I need to lose weight. It's always, it seems to be a huge problem. Yeah.
Anyway, we go out through Hastings, go out to battle, And Bob's driving. He said, Al, I've got a problem. I said, what's that? He said, I need to have a shit. I said, what do you mean? I said, we're going to a shat. He said, I'm going to shit myself if I don't go. Anyway, so we got past Battle, out through Battle, and there was a lay-by, so I'm going in there. So he went round the lorry, still got the blue lights on, and had the crap in the lay-by. And he looked, and he's down there, and I'm down looking down on him. And he looked up and he said, I've got another problem. I said, well, I ain't got any papers. So I went, all right, hold on. It's around like that. Yeah, give him the paper. He did it, got back into the lorry, or 5 pints. And he said, where are we going? I'd given him the turnout sheet that told us where we were going. To wag his arse with.
Yeah, that's not good.
Oh no. Anyway, so we had a rough idea where we were going anyway. We got to the next village and there's a pub. I can't remember the name of the villages now. It's age. Anyway, they saw the blue lights, all looking out the window. I ran in the pub and said, can you tell me where the kicking donkey is, please? So they directed us. We got to the kicking...
Isn't that against your regulations, though?
Well, to the...
If there's an emergency and you're on call, you're going to have to soil yourself. Isn't that in theory?
Well, no, you can. That's the last thing you want, isn't it? You've got to be capable of being able to do your job. You've got to be capable.
Incapacitated fire.
Exactly.
Yeah, I see, yeah.
So anyway, it was the right thing to do. Anyway, when we got there, they said they wanted the ladder put up to the first floor, right, on the cage. And what you got is a stretcher that comes with the cage that you can use, but it hooks on. It goes through 2 pins, right? Yeah. So I got to the window. The part-timers, the retainers, they had taken the window out. Fair enough, done a good job. So I said, right, take this stretcher, but make sure when you come out, it comes out the same way as it went in, because it's got a hook on.
Yeah.
What happened? Come out the wrong way. Mm-hmm. So I couldn't hook it onto the top of and it's out then. Yeah. So I couldn't. So I had to lay over this person.
Yeah.
To hold her onto the onto the ladder. Anyway, we got her down, and it was the most horrible experience of my life. Laying over the poor woman had had a heart attack as well.
Yeah.
So it weren't good for her, and she was all, you can imagine what she was like.
Maybe she liked it.
Well, I don't know.
I've heard.
She never said.
I've heard there are women who would love to lie down like that with firemen. Yeah. I've heard rumors. The big boys in the yard have told me that there's
anyway,
a woman.
We we got down and everything like that, and when we got back to the station, they'd heard about it and laughing and everything, and we got a commendation for it, saving her life.
At the end of the day, we laugh a lot, but you still saved someone, even though one of you had diarrhea on the way, and the stretcher went all wrong, and that's still impressive.
Well, yeah.
By the way, Dick, you drove these things, right?
Yeah.
Back then, what kind of vehicle was used by the fire department?
First one we drove was the old Bedford, wasn't it?
Yeah, Bedford, yeah.
They would double the clutch, crash gearboxes,
Yeah. So not like nowadays they're just glorified taxis, right?
Yeah, they're automatic now.
Yeah, lovely to drive now.
Automatic, that's cheating.
It's like driving a car now.
Yeah.
So what was it like then? You had all those levers in the middle, right?
Well, it's just a gear.
The same gearbox as a lorry, but you had to double the clutch. So to put it in neutral, press down on the clutch, lift the clutch again, press down again, and then put it in gear.
How many times did this go wrong and you crashed into a house or something?
Well, I didn't crash him out. If they missed a gear, they used to get a load of stick.
Yeah.
Didn't you?
Mm. The turntable was the worst one, wasn't it? The original turntable, the Merryweather, that was a terror. Because you had to, it wasn't double the clutch, but you had to judge the revs just right. Otherwise you'd get terror.
Otherwise it screeches loud.
We were going uphill on that turntable. We had cyclists overtaking us when we had blue lights on. It was that bad, wasn't it?
Yeah. Were they British?
Yeah, Merryweather was the turntable.
That's saving money again. You should have ordered them Finnish and Swedish ones.
Eastbourne had that turntable ladder with a gearbox. It was the wrong way round, wasn't it?
Yes.
Do you remember?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, you used to go over there, stand by, and drive that bloody thing.
It seems as though they'd taken the steering wheel, plonked it the other side, and forgot about the gearbox. So you had a completely... Oh, it was
the other
awful.
way
Yeah.
down.
Terrible.
So you have to get used to doing that.
Yeah.
Well, listening to this, I regret that I didn't go into it. At least the volunteer thing.
Oh, we had some great times. Good fun.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Good fun.
Well, tell me about the council meeting.
The what?
The councillor who met at that station that night. You're like this.
Yeah. We had the leader of East Sussex County Council that was our employer. East Sussex Fire Brigade, but his East Sussex County Council paid the bills. And he wanted to come and spend the night with a watch.
Oh.
So he came with us, our watch, Red Watch at Hastings. And he came on the shift, because when you used to go on duty, you used to have to parade. The off-going watch would go, and then you would be given your job for the night. You'd be your specification, whatever you were, like driving the turntable ladder or driving the pump, or you'd be breathing apparatus or whatever. They tell you what you're doing for the night. Anyway, he came along and he wanted to experience how we worked and wanted to be part of it. So we did drills and stuff with him to show him what we did and everything like that. Before we were having dinner, Bob, who I told you about, was off duty, came in dressed as a vicar. And he then proceeded to sit down to say, "How are you, lads?" And we introduced him as our padre. And he's doing all this spiel about the church and everything. And then we go and have dinner, and then he blessed the dinner and everything like that. And the leader of the council was so pleased about this. He said, "This is a wonderful thing," and shake his hand. And he said, "Lovely to meet you." He said, "Yeah." He said, I'll be back in the morning before they all go off shift to say good, oh, thank you very much, sir. Sweet, kind of you." Anyway, we had a prayer as well before this, and the council was out there. Anyway, then we're going to do food. Anyway, so he said, "Oh, well, can I get involved in the cooking of it?" We used to have to cook ourselves on nights.
Yeah.
They sent him down to the freezer at the cleaning room, which had the big freezer in each watch's big freezer with food in, to get some bread. They sent him down, and I went with him.
Yeah.
And he opened the freezer, and one of the blokes was laying in it with a mask on, sat up. I thought he was going to die. He jumped across the room, and he was shaking in it. And we went, "Oh my God, he's going to have a heart attack." Fortunately, he did see the funny side of it, but at the time I didn't think he was going to. Anyway, we had a couple of shouts in the night. He came out with us, really nice fella. The morning, the vicar came back to say hallelujahs and everything like that. And then exposed himself to tell him who he actually was, one of the blokes on the ship. And he was really good, but I mean, we could have got in a lot of trouble though.
Yeah.
If I had been that council, I would have increased the budget immediately.
But
they seem to have a good thing going on here. So
if you'd have seen the way he jumped away from that freezer, it was unbelievable.
Yeah. Towards the end here, I want to ask, after it all, what were you in? 3-4 decades? How long was it?
No, 27 and a half years.
27, so 3 decades.
I was medically discharged, but 2 years before I was due to.
Okay. Considering the money's not crazy good, but you have this great camaraderie, you have, otherwise pretty decent living conditions.
Yeah.
Was it worth it? Are you on an okay pension now?
The pension's good.
Was it fair?
Because we paid 11.5% of our wages before tax.
Yeah.
But that was a killer. But because the money was so poor in the fire brigade, we all had to get a second job. I used to do a lot of building and stuff like that. So did Bob, so did Dick. We used to all work together. We do decorating, we do plumbing, we do whatever. Which I can tell you a funny story about Bob again.
Yeah.
He went to put some fencing in between nights for this lady, 2 panels of fence in between the house and theirs next door with a gate so she could fence off her garden. He left work and went and did it in the morning, so he had to be back on nights for 6 o'clock. So he wanted to get it done pretty quick. Anyway, he put the fencing in, got everything like that, got it, made a lovely job, stood back at it. Well, that's good. Knocked on the door and said, and the woman looked out for the window upstairs. So, "Mrs. Smith, I've finished." She said, "Oh, that's a lovely job, Mr. Evans." But tell me, how are you going to get your van out? He put his van the other side of the fence. He parked it there. So he had to pull it all out. And those are the sort of things that used to make you laugh. He was funny. He was hilarious. But yeah.
So that's, what's Bob's name? Because he's been mentioned.
Bob Evans, his name is. He died 17 years ago now. Real good friends.
Yeah.
But he,
we can dedicate this to his memory, I think.
Oh, definitely.
Seems like
that would be lovely.
Bob, yeah.
And you think Bob may have had exposure to whatever?
I do believe that, because Alan Keats was he was a sub-officer on our watch. He died of cancer in the stomach, and Bob had it in the
Prostate, wasn't it?
Yeah, prostate and stuff like that. But they went to this job, which was all paint burning. We always remember it. I was off, and it was down Queen's Road.
Yeah.
And I really believe they were exposed to some really bad fumes.
Yeah.
In those days.
Of course, impossible to prove. You'll never have a case,
No.
especially since people kept second jobs, and in those days you could have been exposed to whatever in that job too. And
but so it's
industrial fires are the worst, right?
of course they are. You never know what you're breathing in. And that's the trouble. And you could be outside and do it, but see, the big problem is after a fire, you go in and clear up. When I say clear up, you make it safe.
Yeah.
So if there's any ceilings hanging, you pull them down and stuff like that. Just make sure the fire's out completely. Yeah. So you would be breathing in fumes then.
Yeah.
And they never did it with breathing apparatus in those days. You just used to go in, didn't it?
Oh, like
cut away. We used to call it cutting away.
Yeah, he would do sort of
make sure the fire's completely out.
Bareback lungs into that. That's not good.
Yeah.
Ugh. Nowadays, I'm sure they go in. Right?
Well, they are. Yeah, they are doing that now. But as I said to you before, they have found out that firefighters are more likely to cancer and stuff like that because of what they breathe.
Yeah.
And what they do.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we thank you both.
Not at all.
Alan and Richard, for your time. This was excellent. It sounds fun. I think it's opened our eyes a little bit to what it's like for firefighters. Yeah. Nowadays, there's firefighters. They used to be firemen.
Firemen.
Yeah.
Firefighters.
Anything you want to say about, to wrap it all up, about, is this a career people should do, you think?
Definitely it's a career that I really enjoyed. I would never make a fortune out of it, but it's a career I enjoyed, and I made some really good friends.
Yeah.
And met some really nice people, and was able to help people, and I think that's half the battle.
And I'll say, I think as a society, people who run into places where they breathe in toxic shit and carry a bunch of fat people out of 7th-story windows or whatever should be paid more.
Yeah.
I don't think
we always said that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
I don't think they need a second job nowadays, but either way, it's not great either, right. I don't think. You know?
Well, because you got to remember, we went on strike in 1977 for 9 weeks. We had no money at all, but we were still going to fires. Yeah. We were still supporting the army. We were going in our own cars, if we could afford it, and take breathing apparatus and go and fight the fires, because the army didn't have breathing apparatus. They didn't, you know.
We was going in, weren't we, on the fire?
We were going in and not paid. We were staying on the fire station and waiting for the brigade used to call and say that they're turning them out to such and such to keep us young. Like all these army personnel, all youngsters.
Yeah, of course.
And they had no experience of fire, so we were going, but we'd only go in if there was a life at risk.
Do you ever have dreams or nightmares about something burning in your house?
Well, no. Only nightmares about the people I met.
Snap.
Yeah.
The funny thing about the strike was I'd only just joined. I was on probation in 76, 77.
Yeah.
And we was going, as Alan said, we was going down and picketing the fire station. We had to go and picket several places where the army were as well. And one of them was down at the cadet place, wasn't it? And Port Saint.
Yeah.
And funny, I was picketing the place, and they were paras. My old regiment, sort of, they were I was picketing them. And I'd only been out of the army about 6 months or so, and I was picketing the very people I was sort of. But we had some nice chats, and I actually got one of them to make a donation.
Nice.
you-
Oh, the army were good. We only
They were very
just
good,
just
yeah.
to make a statement about,
Yeah.
they're doing their job.
That's a perfect way to wrap it up. If you send me,
Yeah.
both of you, some kind of links to a place where people can donate to whatever it is,
Oh,
charities for lost
Well, it's a benevolent fund. Well, it's not the benevolent fund now. It's a firefighters charity.
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
It's called the firefighters charity.
All right, we'll put that in the description. Thank you so much for your time.
No, thank
you. And
Thank you, Dan.
if we get, I hope the people send in. It's talkinghouspodcast@gmail.com. If you have any questions or stories, we can always
answer.
we can always get Alan and Richard back to answer them. But yeah, they're fantastic. Thank you so much.
Wait a minute. All we're doing is going around in circles.